This is from a novel I published in 2007 called Oh My Days, and the title's deliberately slangy. This is from the point of view of a young adolescent offender. He's serving 5 years in a maximum security prison. The experience of writing this came as a direct result of my experience of working with such offenders. I worked as an education manager in a maximum security prison in Aylesbury for a few years, and this novel came out of that. The novel's written from his point of view with his slang. I hope it can still be followed. 7:30 in the AM, and I'm awake a long time before I need to be. I sit at my desk with my beads in my hands and I pray. I contemplate the day. Thursday. I'm looking forward to next Tuesday in the same way that I always do, and it seems like a distance, blood. But it's a mark. Tuesday, the day I get to meet the new fish in the pond, traditionally, unless they are deemed unsuitable for interaction with other prisoners, for whatever reason, for protection for them or for us, or unsuitable for interaction with the staff. There are some I don't get to meet, as they're immediately strapped into healthcare, into suicide watch, into maximum segregation, going down block, or the worst of the worst, to the puppy dog wing. If I have to, I'll talk about that at a later date. I haven't had my breakfast yet, and my stomach is still queasy from yesterday, and from a bad sleep on what sometimes feels like a bed of rusty nails. Feeling sick, I wait for unlock. The screws make no attempt to take you by surprise. That's what happens at some of the remand centres I've known. They creep to a certain lucky someone's door. They flip back the people's lot. Me, I'm staring at the metal door and waiting first for the movement of heavy feet and then the club on the frame. Quite often, they don't even bother to open the slot. It's just, Alfred, or Ali? Gov, I answer. You showering this morning, son? No, sir. Fine, son. Get ready for movements. Yes, sir. Just to explain, I tend to save up my shower entitlement to the weekend. I'm not one of those filthy bruvs who can't be asked. I queue for my cereal, I take it back to my cell, then I queue to dispose of the rubbish, the carton and a small pot of milk with a postage stamp-sized rectangle of cellophane over the top. It's another day in paradise. I listen to some death rap as I munch, then it's time to move. I'm still hurting from Screw Cooper calling me son. At 8:30, the doors of us fortunate to have a prison job or a class to amble over to or gym snap open, and it's off to work we go. For me, it's the tiny library. I work in the prison library. And as I'm released from the wing at 9, along with the rest of us, I cross the exercise yard, then the yard between D and E wings, acknowledging the wagwans and the backslaps, shoulder crashes and reminders of favours of half a dozen youths on the way, all the while thinking, can't wait to meet Dot next Tuesday. Tuesday being the day the new boys to the prison, as I say, get their thorough library induction. The morning is as charged as a hot-wired engine. Screws know it, cons know it. In about a hot minute, I'm going to understand that the civilian staff from the county library service know it too. There's scarcely a lip not flapping with rumour about yesterday's events in the cookery class. Wappen, I'm asked. Is it true yet? Dunno, is all I can answer. I've started to doubt my own eyes. But there are facts, and I do mean facts, blood, that can't be denied, such as Roller and Meanie are down block, awaiting their Friday adjudication. Loss of TV and canteen privileges is my guess, and a nice, long, solitary stay in a 6x6 on a mattress with no bed springs underneath it. And the fact that the screws in question in the incident, not on my wing so I don't know their names, have been sent home pending a full investigation. The education block smells of bad vegetables, as ever. It's into the holding area and even through the heavy green gates up the stairs. The library is about as big as a lounge. Morning, Alfred, I'm given. Morning, miss. I make my way round to the business side of the counter, trying not to meet the eyes of the stranger standing next to miss. Sit, boot up the old PC. "Alfred," says Miss Patterson, "this is Miss Thistle." All three of us stand up in unison. "All right, miss," I say, and to my surprise, she extends a hand for me to shake. Not only is she not, therefore, prison staff, or even civilian staff, whose hand you won't touch either, and believe me, I've tried, but she is something else, another step removed. But a hand's a hand, right? I take the opportunity, the first female flesh I've encountered in 2 years, 4 months and 17 days. With hindsight, I grip it, I think. I'm confused. "Miss Thistle is here from a university," says Miss Patterson. "Is it? Yes, Miss Thistle can probably explain better than I can. Miss Thistle?" "Yes. And Alfred," says Miss Patterson. My eyes sweep from the one woman's to her considerably older counterparts, and I answer, "Yes, miss?" "Please let go of Miss Thistle's hand, Alfred." "Tell me, Alfred. Alfred, that's a Derbyshire name, isn't it?" I nod my head as the other two women take to their twirly, expensive chairs. "In it is all I'm allowed to offer them." "It is indeed a town, I think," says Miss Thistle, "maybe a village." I nod my head, thinking, lose nothing by making conversation. Me old boys family from up that way, back in the day, like, never seen it, cuz. "Alfred," Miss Patterson warns, "do not refer to our visitor as cuz." Wanting out of the conversation, I swivel away to see my screen booted up. I type in the library staff password. I've heard enough, I almost say, but refrain from doing so in fear for the loss of the left arm bicep red band that speaks of my trustworthiness, compliance, and which has landed me the job in the first place. "Better get wriggling," I offer. "Miss Thistle is only making conversation, Alfred," says Miss Patterson. "Angela, it's okay." "Angela." I turn to the two women again, aware of a breach of protocol. Patterson is too, but it's Thistle, blatantly trying to cover her tracks, who speaks next. "I can see that Alfred wasn't aware of that, Miss Patterson," she says. "I apologize. Although I can't see any immediate mileage in knowing the library manager's Christian name, it is good to see that Patterson thinks I might be able to use the information. But who's going to care?" "It's quite all right, Miss Thistle," the old girl states. "Alfred is an enhanced level prisoner, and as such has had to be trusted. So that's what I'm going to do right now, Alfred. I'm going to trust you." "Thanks," I tell her, "because I'll know where the information came from if it gets around, won't I?" She bangs on, point made but needing to be remade. "You will," I tell her. "Shall I get on with the orders?" I don't want Patterson, and that's Angela to her friends, or Thistle, first name unknown, to understand that I'm curious to learn why someone from outside has been allowed into the library on the business side of the desk. In all my days, I've never heard of it happening. As I start to tear open this week's orders, mainly TV guides, a few bodybuilding magazines, a periodical on train spotting of all things, Miss Thistle rolls her chair a full half-meter closer to me. There is something she wants to say, or needs to. I can smell her perfume, and it's like a fresh drop of the disgusting hooch that Naylor on Seawing used to brew before he was shipped out to big man jail. The impact, I mean. Thistle's perfume was sweet. Naylor's hooch smelt like an enema. But they both go to the back of your head, no messing, one-way delivery. It's the first perfume I've smelt in time. "Do I call you Alfred?" Miss Thistle asks, "or would you prefer I used your first name?" Angela starts typing. No one has ever asked me this before. "You don't know my first name," I inform her, perhaps a bit harshly. "Your first name is William," she says, immediately scoring a point. She's done some research on who, it seems, she's to be working with. "No one calls me William," I answer. "Usually it's Billy." "Billy it is, Billy. I'll be working here for the next little while on a placement. Do you know what a placement is, Billy?" I nod my head. "It's where you're working for someone else and you're getting an inside." "Kind of. I work for the university." She leans forward slightly and puts her elbows on her knees. Good job that although she might not have been told about forename procedures, she's at least been informed about dress code. The beige-coloured top she wears beneath her light grey trouser suit is a polo neck. She's not worried about being in a prison, and that's strange. I'm writing about the young offender experience as part of my PhD in adult basic skills education. She goes on. I want to know all about the learning pathway for young offenders, not the facts, she adds quickly, in a voice that leaks out bare disgust. I can get that from any number of reports. Not the stats. I want experience. I'm with you, I reply. You want a guinea pig. Well, not exactly, she begins. You want a snitch, Miss Thistle, is what you want. Alfred warns Patterson in her deepest voice. I don't snitch, I tell her categorically. But I'm thinking different things entirely. I'm thinking 3 different things entirely. 1, if you're interested in the so-called learning pathway, then why are you sitting with someone who's passed all his exams and not in a classroom? 2, a letter to the governor, not an education gov, but the gov, the governor of the jail, Glazer, whom I'm assuming has okayed this malarkey. The letter about my confusion and which I'm already penning in my head, the one that reads, Dear Bumberclut, what do you think you're doing letting this woman into a maximum security prison? Something like that. And 3, the sense, the feeling that I can't much describe and even less explain, that something is wrong here. Something is missing. I am certain right now that Miss Thistle is lying to me. Billy, no, she continues, I don't require a snitch, I require a mind. Excuse me? Someone with intelligence who knows the workings of the education department inside out, but from the inside. I stop tearing my way into the magazine bundle. Still sounds like a snitch to me, Miss Thistle, I answer politely. Call me Kate, she answers, no doubt to Angela's disapproval, but in such a way that I know I've just been played. As my friend Ostrich might say, man could fall in love for lesser ting. Thank you.